Well. Clemson Tiger fans, college football fans, welcome back to another live post-game reaction here on the Voice of College Football Clemson channel. Thank you again for joining me. I am your host, Tiger Paul Craven. It was Military Appreciation today. We had the purple jerseys, the orange pants, which I can't remember the last time that particular uniform combination was worn for Clemson. But Clemson got the win tonight. We did pull out a win against Louisville. The score 31-16, as you see on your screen right now. I think Clemson made it a little more difficult on themselves than they had to in certain situations. But regardless, we did get the win. So we're going to break down our initial reactions for you guys here. We'll talk about what we thought about the game plan, how we thought the game went, and just our general thoughts on the game. Then we'll get into some comments with you guys. We'll interact with the comment section, and we'll see where the show takes us from there, okay? But before I bring on my panel, if you are not subscribed to the show already, please do so, okay? We are quickly approaching our 4,000 subscriber goal for the season, okay? We're trying to reach that goal before the end of the season. So if you could help us out with that, that'd be greatly appreciated. Please hit that like button. It really helps us out, especially on these live shows that we do, these live reactions that we do for you guys. And if you would like to support the show monetarily at all, you see the scrolling across the screen right now, all the places that you could do so. Also, links are in the description of this video as well. And as always, you can use the super chat feature at any point in time during this video. And that would be greatly appreciated as well. But without further ado, let's get into some Clemson football. Let me bring on my co-host. I got Jordan Bowman in the house. I got DeAndre in the house. Gentlemen, how you guys doing tonight?
Doing good, my man. Definitely feels better this week than the last show, post-game show we did. So
it's always better coming off a win than a loss, right?
Right. So, yep, feeling good. Have a lot of thoughts, a lot of good, some bad. I'm sure you guys feel the same way. But feels good to be back in the win column. That's for sure.
Yeah, if you're a Clemson fan, tonight you should be rooting for Texas and Washington to win. So I feel good about this win, and that's all you can do is take care of your business. But you should be rooting for Texas and Washington tonight. Arkansas almost helped us out. Well, I still can understand how 2-7-2 teams are ahead of 10-1 team, and one of the 7-2 teams, you beat one of the teams that beat them. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but it is what it is.
Hey, 1 second. John Sarian is saying that there's no sound. Anybody else in the chat? Can you guys hear us? Seems fine on my end, but I need to let me. Hold on.
I can hear everything, but I don't know about everybody in the chat. Give us a thumbs up.
I'll pull up the stream on my end.
Yeah, give us a thumbs up or an okay in the chat if we're having any sound issues where you cannot hear us at all. Because we can't really tell on our end running through the StreamYard and everything. All right, everybody saying
okay. Yeah, we're good. We're good.
Okay, John Sarian saying it's good. He reloaded it. So maybe there was an issue, but it seems to be fixed now. So that's good. Thanks for letting us know, John. We appreciate that. But we're going to kind of get into the game tonight a little bit. And we'll start off with, just some general thoughts coming into the game. I know we had some score predictions. If you guys watched our preview video, I probably had the most conservative score prediction, if you will, when it came into the game for Clemson. I didn't really trust our offense, and I wasn't really sure how they were going to look coming into the game. They looked pretty good in the first half, right? Clemson's offense looked pretty good in the first half. I think we had maybe 1 3 and out in the first half. But we looked pretty good. The defense looked They played well. They looked like they came in inspired. They definitely, I believe, they heard the noise from last week where they kind of got manhandled, and they did not rise to the occasion last week. I think they definitely heard that noise, and they made a point of pressuring Louisville all night. They gave Cunningham fits in the first half. I know Cunningham didn't play in the second half, but they gave him fits in the first half. He never really got loose. Their running game never really got going. Outside of that first drive where they broke that big run, our defense played pretty well. What was your guys' kind of overall thoughts on the game, and then we'll kind of get into a bit of a breakdown.
Yeah. Once again, just a great win. Good to be back in the win column. I saw a lot of good from both sides. Just on the biggest takeaway is just being able to put away teams, and that's something this team just hasn't really done a whole lot of this season. And that's
Doesn't
kind
seem
of
to
what
be in our wheelhouse.
Yeah, I'm going to stop asking for it because I don't know if this team has that switch it can flip like past Clemson teams had in the past, where they could just they could just put somebody away. But still, the game wasn't really in doubt. They were up comfortably for a lot of the game. They covered the spread, so all in all, can't complain too much. But definitely a lot of stuff to work on.
And to comment on kind of what you hit before we let DeAndre go real quick, it seemed like the defense was doing that, and the offense couldn't close it out quite. I think the defense played especially well in the second half. They think they played pretty well all game, outside of a couple drives. But it felt like the defense was doing that, and then the offense, we just couldn't get out of our own way. It would be a turnover, or we'd be driving down, looking to kind of stretch that lead and kind of start putting Louisville away, and kind of really, controlling the game. And for whatever reason, like you said, maybe it's just maybe this Clemson team just doesn't have it in them to put teams away. At least that's what it seems so far this season. So I think you're right in that. Go ahead, DeAndre.
I think we played an excellent game. Just a lot of turnovers to clean up. I don't think we're going to do a lot of that against Miami. Our defense finally got back to being aggressive. I think they're starting to trust the secondary a little bit more. However, we did give up a long runs on 3rd and 12 and twice in the game. I didn't like that, but I thought Barrett Carter played really good. He would have two sacks, 1 interception. He played a heck of a game. I hate that we gave up a last-second touchdown, but, you won by 16 and a half. So that's pretty good. You held a team under 20 points. It's just building. Take it to the next week, play Miami, and then play South Carolina. And, we're talented enough to beat those two teams just like we're talented to beat Louisville. But nice to see the defense get more aggressive and just start giving up long runs. There's a lot of stuff to clean up.
Yeah, definitely lots to clean up on the Clemson end. Although it was a very good win, we do know it's Clemson's appreciation or military appreciation week for Clemson, with Veterans Day being on Friday. So we know with Clemson, military appreciation week always has on our purple uniforms, right? Clemson does one alternate uniform a year, and it's the purple uniform. They kind of threw in a little bit of a switch up this year. What was your guys' thoughts on the purple jerseys and the orange pants before we get into the serious talk of the game?
I thought it was pretty nice.
You like it?
Yeah.
Yep.
I feel the same. It's just nostalgic. We haven't worn it in a while, and it just kind of lined up, to wear the championship breeches, the orange breeches, because we clinched the division outright tonight.
Right.
So that was part. I think that was part of the reason why they wore the orange pants. But it was nice to see that combo aligned, and it's definitely not something I want to see all the time. but it was pretty nostalgic. Thinking back to the some of the Tommy Bowden days, and and we're undefeated in that combo too. So
that's true. That's part of it's funny that you mentioned the charm of it and the whole undefeated thing. Like, you remember back in the Tommy Bowden days when Clemson fans used to track uniform combinations and what Clemson's record was in those uniform combinations. I'm so glad we don't do that anymore, man. It was okay. I'll say it was okay to see the throwback, the purple jerseys with the orange pants. I don't think I hated it as much as I remember hating that combination. I really do like the purple on purple. I like the purple out that we do for the military appreciation. But I remember not liking that uniform combination more than tonight. It looked pretty good out there. I'm not going to lie. It wasn't as bad as my brain remembers it from back in the day. Or back in the Tommy Bowden days, if you will. So I don't hate it, but like you said, I don't want to see it every year. I'm cool with the solid purple.
Yeah.
I think the solid purple looks better, although I did not dislike the combination we wore tonight. So getting into more.
Excuse me, 1 second.
Yeah, what's up, DeAndre? What do you got?
I don't remember as kids Danny Ford ever wearing the purple uniforms. In Hades, I just don't remember. I always remember the orange and the white. I never remember the purple. I wonder was that something more towards the 2000s. 80s and 90s, I definitely don't remember them wearing them. I know they wore it in there.
You might be right.
Yeah,
I do know the orange and I do know the orange and white was.
I do think the solid purple is a Dabo thing.
Well, yeah. But the orange on the orange on purple combo.
The orange on purple.
When did we start? You see, I'm too young.
I know they wore it in the 40s and 50s.
I've been alive for.
Yeah, they wore it in the 40s and 50s, but under Peak and Ford, I never remember them wearing it. I could be wrong, but I definitely don't remember wearing it. I'd probably seen every game they played in the 80s.
Yeah, so Jonathan Benton gets in and says, I think Bowden emphasized the purple as a secondary color. That kind of seems right. I feel like Bowden really liked to play with the uniform combinations when he kind of came to Clemson. And then kind of when Dabo took over, it became the solid purple deal. And then the orange breeches or the orange pants were only broken out for trophy games or championship games, right. Which I kind of like. I kind of like that there's no questions now. Bowden, it seemed like we focused too much on what uniform we were wearing that week and what Clemson's record was that week, and less about just getting prepared for a football game. So, but we'll leave all that uniform stuff behind us. It's fun to talk about, but we got a game to talk about, fellas. So Clemson's offense. Let's start with the offense, okay? I want to start with DJ and the offense and the Clemson offense coming into this game because I think they played pretty solid. I like some of the play calling that we saw tonight. I think we saw a little bit of more of creative playbook tonight. You guys can comment on that in a second, but I think it was a little bit more of a creative offensive approach tonight. I saw some plays that, I felt like we're kind of opening things up. I don't know if that's because of the Notre Dame game last week or Dabo's really putting pressure on those coordinators to really get creative. I don't know what it was, but I think the offensive approach tonight was good. I mean, Maffa, you guys see Maffa tonight, bro? That dude is a grown man. That dude, wow. I watched several of Maffa's runs tonight, and I was just like, wow, dude. That dude is, I remember what he got stood up at for a 5-yard gain and then went on to get a first down. I think he got 12 yards on the play. It was crazy. The guy never quits. He's a load to tackle. Will Shipley kind of looks like a guy that he's like a hairline away from breaking one. Every time he gets the ball almost, he gets like tripped up at the last second. I think DJ, like, he made some not so great throws tonight, but then like DJ has these flashes that if you watch the game, that he just like he makes a throw and you're like, wow, like there it is. Like that's what the coaches see, that's what the scouts see, that's what everybody talks about when it comes to DJ and his arm, because he'll make a couple throws in a game and you're just like, man, dude, like if he could just become more consistent, he'd be that guy. Like he'd be that guy in college football. What was your guys' thoughts on the offense tonight?
I thought they did pretty good.
Go ahead, DeAndre.
Yeah, I thought they did pretty good. What was up with Parks tonight? I saw he wasn't playing right guard. Everybody know?
He's hurt. He was hurt.
Yeah, he's hurt.
Okay. Well, make a long story short, I think we. Okay. I think the running game was really, really good. I thought DJ played very good, but I know that I think some of the play callers, like on that zone read where he was supposed to take off a run, like a quarterback sweep, I thought it was too slow of a play for him to do. I know he's had success with it against Florida State and a couple other teams, but I don't think that it worked too well tonight. I think that play calling really got him on those. But other than that, and I like using the smaller receivers. I saw Spector and Williams out there a lot to combine together. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Antonio Williams is a guy. Antonio Williams played great tonight. Brenningstool had a couple good plays. Davis Allen had a couple good catches. They were using the tight ends in the running game. Go ahead, Jordan. Your thoughts on the offense?
Yeah. Overall, a solid performance. I think DJ played. Yeah, I think DJ played fine. Definitely that the fumble wasn't great. He kept his he kept the ball low and allowed the defender to poke the ball out. But he had some nice throws. I thought he did some good things in the run game, especially early on. Offensive line, I thought they played solid, especially in the run game. Pass protection at times was good, but they still had their lapses, and a couple of false start penalties. But that's kind of been somewhat of a recurring issue at times. But I think it was a solid day. It was a nice bounce back performance. Some frustrating. I think my biggest frustration was the turnovers. The turnovers sucked. And they were by your biggest playmakers on offense. Shipley fumbled twice, Antonio Williams fumbled, and then obviously DJ had had that fumble. So it just, you can't have that. This team has been coughing the ball up a lot these last 3 games, and they really need to clean that. Ball security is huge because Clemson might be able to get away with that in this last stretch of games, but when it comes to the ACC championship game and whatever happens beyond that, when you're playing better opponents, you can't cough the ball up as much as you are. But it's hard to bag on Williams too much because that's like that fumble was like his first mistake ever. It seems like guy just he does whatever he's asked, and he does it at a very high level. But Shipley's got to hold on to the ball. But I'll give him some slack because 1, he was hurt, and 2, can we talk about that hurdle? That touchdown?
Yes, yes, we absolutely can. We can talk about this Will Shipley hurdle. If this doesn't end up on ESPN Sports Center as like one of the top plays of the weekend, I don't know what's going on. I saw a crazy catch from a Notre Dame wide receiver early on.
The Braden Lindsey catch. That one was
today.
Probably
it was crazy
because he caught it behind the dude's back.
And then kind of ripped it out. So that was crazy. But Will Shipley literally hurdled a guy and then blew through like 2 defenders coming down on him and just ran it to the end zone. One of the greatest plays I've seen, I think. That's gonna be a play that we remember from Will Shipley for a long time. just because of the athleticism that he displayed on that play. It was great. But yes, he did let the ball get away from him a couple times tonight. A couple times he kind of recovered it back himself. He did lose that one fumble. He kind of the camera kind of panned to him on the sideline. He was pretty heated about that fumble on the sideline. Probably just mad with himself, disappointed in kind of how he handled that opportunity that he got. Quick question about the offense too before we kind of get a little further into it or move on to the defense. We brought Cade Klubnik in, and Cade Klubnik's drive ended with a Will Shipley fumble, as we know. We just talked about it. Why did he not come back in for – I mean, I know it was just a handoff and Phil Moffitt took it to the house, but I just wasn't sure why DJ came back into the game at that point in the game. I was just confused by that. If you guys had any thoughts on that, like it was confusing to me.
I thought it was too early to put him in because they were up. They're only up 14 at that point.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, there was like 5 minutes to go in the game. And the way our defense was playing, Louisville wasn't gonna score 2 touchdowns.
That's true. But
I was kind of like you. I was a little surprised to see him in the game, but once you bring him in, why take him back out?
Right.
Like I don't understand what they're doing with this quarterback thing. Like if you're gonna bring Cade in with 5 minutes to go in the game, and you're up 2 scores, then just leave him in the rest of the game. Unless he does something stupid and throws like a pick 6 or something, and now you're only up 1 score, and like you kind of like, okay, like I could see it then, but like that didn't happen. Like so.
And the biggest thing is you put him in there. You put him in there, and like you don't throw the ball. Like you just put him in there to hand the ball off, and I'm like,
all he did was hand the ball off and then run the ball. He had that one good run.
Yeah, he had a nice
around the side. He had a nice scamper on the right side. But I mean, just like if you're going to put him in, run the offense. Run the offense.
Maybe the way he handed the ball off to simply called the fumble.
Yeah.
Maybe the way he ended off.
I don't think so. No, it was just because Shipley had the ball contained. Like he made a couple guys miss in the backfield, but they swarmed him, and then that
was on Shipley. It was a good play from the defender, but 2, Will Shipley was getting swarmed in the backfield, and he only had one hand on the ball,
right?
Which is probably not a good choice. And somebody swatted it. You could see the defender when he came around. You saw the defender's arm rip. Like this, and that's what
they were trying to force.
They were trying to force a fumble there, and they did.
Yeah, it was nothing Cade did,
but that was definitely that fumble was 100% on Shipley.
I hated the play call too. But I don't know why they did. If they were going to run, I don't know why you get cute. That sprint and draw play. I mean, we call it at some weird times, but
we do.
I don't know.
We make and here's the thing about our play calling. It's like sometimes I'm like in the middle of the game watching it, and I'm like, wow, I really like this play calling right now. And then sometimes we do like weird things like we're talking about, and I'm just like, what are we doing? Like what is going on here? It's inconsistent. Our play calling is very inconsistent. Like sometimes it's just like I like how we have seen some new things and some kind of creative play calling, like even in this game, and then you see some of that boneheaded stuff that we're talking about. But I mean, nobody calls a perfect game, so I get it. It's just
just
frustrating stuff. Yeah, it's frustrating. Did you guys see that stat that ESPN was talking about tonight about Clemson's offense?
By the receivers, yeah.
The 100-yard receiver.
The 100-yard receiving game. I did not know that until they pointed it out.
I think the last time we had a 100-yard receiver was it might have been Bo Collins. It was either Bo Collins against Louisville last year. I think he had 100 receiving yards, or I know Inga actually had 100 yards and a 100-yard receiving game against Georgia in the open, but I don't. I don't remember. I think it was one of the two, but they they put up the stat that from 2015 to 2020, like, or 2016 to, I don't remember the time span, but Clemson.
I think it was like 2015 from 2015 to 2020. Every single game that Clemson has played, they've had a 100-yard receiver.
No, it wasn't that. No, we definitely.
It wasn't. We've had
44 games.
44 straight games or something like that.
No, it wasn't straight, but 44
Yeah,
games.
it was 2015 and 2022.
100-yard receiver.
I got you.
Yeah.
So it might. Okay, Edwards says 15 to 21, so it might have been. But yeah, we've had 44 games where we.
So within that time period,
game,
and now we haven't had one since.
Yeah. So
that's telling of our offense, and as much as we want to talk about the quarterback positions, that's not just on the quarterback. That's on the receivers. That's on the play callers. That's on everybody on the offensive side of the ball. You can say that's on DJ as much as you want, but DJ does not have Mike Williams catching the ball. DJ does not have, T. Higgins, Deion Kane, Justin Ross. Anybody. You can name any of the past, Clemson wide receivers. He don't have those guys. Antonio Williams looks to be a guy that can become one of those dudes. But, we've had Ngata on the team for how long? He's never been that guy.
4 years.
4 years? Yeah. He's a senior. He's never been that guy. It just
was interesting. The guy for his career hasn't even got to 1,000 yards. That's ridiculous. I was like, dang, I saw that at the beginning of the season. Like, he got like 400 or 500 yards coming into the season. I said, that's crazy. And much hype as he got as being like, he's supposed to be farther along than Sammy Watkins was. It's amazing that he hasn't produced. The one play I thought he was going to be great at when he was playing Syracuse up in the dome, when he caught the ball on his back, I thought he was going to be a great one, but him and Frank Latson let us down.
Yeah.
Yep. The wide receivers, just this crop of wide receivers has been just a lot of this is a lot of good, guys that just have not lived up to the billing.
EJ Williams.
Yeah,
EJ Williams. Yeah,
he caught a pass. So that's
he was supposed to be the next coming of
Justin Ross. Yeah.
Justin Ross, right?
Yeah. And he looked like it when he was, his freshman year. His freshman year, he had some flashes of that. We were pretty excited about it, but just hasn't come to fruition, whether that be – and, you look at last year, like we hit – we hit the wall of injuries last year, so I think that's part of it. When you're repeatedly injured, you can't really develop because you're in rehab. So that's part of the reason too. There's a lot of things going into it, but it is what it is. Tyler Grisham, he's the new receivers coach. He's gonna have to prove himself. He's really
he's
gonna
not
have to,
new. He's been the receivers coach for a couple of years now. But
a couple of years. But he's still relatively new to the receiver room. Yeah. And it's really gonna start. If we keep getting these top receivers in and they don't develop, people are going to start looking at him. And that's his job. His job is to develop that wide receiver room and get them to where they need to be. So we'll see how it goes. But I think the offense played pretty well tonight, guys. Overall, I think it was for the most part, outside of, we kind of bogged down in that third quarter a little bit. But the first half went pretty well. And I think although we did not finish super well when it comes to kind of putting a team away, we did what we had to do at the end of the game to win with the help of our Clemson defense, which is where we will transition right now, guys. Let's transition to the defensive side of the ball. Coming into this week against Louisville, the Clemson defense has been beat up in the media by Clemson fans. And most of it has been deserved. Let's be honest. Clemson's defense came into this season as arguably, or preseason, one of the best defenses to ever grace the paw on the side of their helmet. Right? They were going to be compared to the 2018 defense. They were going to be compared to the 2014 defense. They were going to be compared to these great defenses that Clemson has put on the field before. And let's be honest, if we're all being serious, they have not lived up to it, namely the front seven. We came out against, and it wasn't just the Notre Dame game last week. We've been exposed in a couple games this season. Florida State comes to mind on the ground where a team has really run against us. And then Notre Dame we go up to Notre Dame and they put 260 on the ground against us. And we couldn't stop the run. And they're a one-dimensional offense, not to mention there's, 30, 40 mile an hour winds outside. So throwing the ball is not really the greatest option, which makes them even more one-dimensional. And Clemson got bodied. They got handled, and they got embarrassed. And I think they heard all of that noise coming into this game. And they came into this game, and they looked good. They were pressuring Malik Cunningham in the first half. They were getting after the quarterback. They weren't letting Louisville have any type of running game. Barrett Carter played out of his mind tonight. I mean, that dude is the real deal. We've known it all season. I think he's been the best player on Clemson's defense this season. If you're going to give a defensive MVP, I think Barrett Carter's that guy for sure this season. So I think they really came out. They got the job done tonight. They had a couple drives where they kind of let a couple big runs get popped off against them. And then the backup quarterback comes in, and that dude can throw the ball, man. He could definitely sling the ball around. He's pretty good for a backup, I'd say. But your guys' thoughts on Clemson's defense versus Louisville tonight?
Well, it was
Too many
definitely
big plays.
Go ahead, DeAndre.
Too many big plays. I mean, I thought they gave up the ending touchdown, the two long runs where you had them backed up. It's like a lack of focus. We did a better job of getting pressure on Louisville tonight. I like the fact that we walked up linebackers in those gaps and got better pressure, got the double teams off of our defensive linemen, because the guard and the tackle and guard have been blocking Breezy and Davis in the center. So, and letting the tight end come in and block the tight end coming back to defense end. And so I'm glad we finally got a chance to see a difference in the way that we play defense. So, yeah, I thought we did pretty good. Just too many big plays, lack of focus.
Yeah.
I'm good.
That was kind of that's kind of my thing as well. Just they gave up some big plays in situations where they shouldn't have. You give up a 20-yard run on 3rd and 21 or something like that. Like, that can't happen. It happened twice. It happened twice. One was a little bit of a shorter third down and before that, but they, and it was the same, that stretch zone play that Louisville runs a ton. They run a lot of their offense around that. And it just seems like guys were not really in position on that play. And they, that was frustrating to see us give up those big plays. The last touchdown, you hate to see that. I would have rather you just tackle the receiver and take the pass interference than, give up the touchdown there. But hey, it is what it is. But I do think the front seven definitely had a much had a great bounce back game. They were getting pressure. Linebackers played really well. Barrett Carter was amazing. Jeremiah Trotter played well after that. He gave up. I thought he was out of position on that first rushing touchdown that Louisville had. But after that, he was laying wood, man. He was looking to kill somebody, looking like his daddy.
Yeah.
So that was good to see. So I thought the linebackers played a much better game overall. And, the defensive line really made their presence known. The secondary, I thought, they covered, well for the most part. But, obviously just they gave up some completions again when they were in soft zone and playing off coverage and stuff like that. But, they didn't do anything. They didn't do anything like crazy. And, that was good to see, at least until the end of the game. So, all in all, even though the stat sheet doesn't show it, because Louisville did technically, they had like 400 yards of offense.
Yeah, they did.
I thought they played well.
They put up some yards. But if you watch the game, I think Clemson's defense was well in control of that game. Yeah, they gave up that disappointing. It was like 3rd and 21, and then they get that play. They hit it for 19 yards. They go for it on 4th down. They get the 4th down conversion, extend that drive. Luckily, Barrett Carter comes up with that INT shortly after that happened. Yeah. But yeah, you can't let stuff like that happen. When you're 3rd and 21, you can't let them get enough yards on 3rd and 21 in order for them to even think about going for it on 4th down. So. Yeah, that was a disappointing thing. Did you guys see? So we talk about Barrett Carter a little bit. Did you guys see where he hurdled that dude and then got that sack? Yeah, he hurdled the
blocker. Yeah,
bro, wow! Like another just wow play, just showing like the athleticism of that guy. I mean, he's big, he's strong, he's fast. And, I mean, you talk about hurdling a guy and then going to get the quarterback as he's rolling out to his right. It doesn't get any better than that, man. Like, that dude's a freak. And I'm glad we have him on our team. I can tell you that.
One thing I'm interested in seeing is when we play Carolina, because we know that game, North Carolina, we know that game's coming up, how Clemson's going to handle their slot receivers. Because Carolina has a lot of speed. I know Miami won today versus Georgia Tech, but I'm not really worried about Miami and South Carolina. But I'm worried about Carolina because how much speed they got, and with the receivers, they don't do a very good job of running the ball. But that's something that we got to clear up when we take them on. Because if you don't, it's gonna be like Wake Forest all over again.
Yeah. Maybe even worse.
yeah. I mean, we'll see how it goes.
But yeah, who knows? Definitely got to get better. Tackling's got to be better in the second level.
Yeah, we got to get better. But here's the secret. North Carolina doesn't have a defense. Every team.
Yeah, but we're talking about the defense against UNC's offense. It's not.
Yeah. No, I got it. I'm just saying, like, Clemson's going to put up plenty of points when we play North Carolina. Believe me, every bad offense's get right game is against UNC. Even Virginia, how terrible they've been this season. Their get right game was against UNC for their offense. So they pose no threat on defense at all. I realize our defense has some work to do, but I don't know, man. North Carolina is a very they're not good on the defensive side of the ball. They can hurt us on offense, and they'll get theirs, I think. But they got to be able to stop us as well. And I don't think they can do that, not consistently enough. And I think our defense could stop them at least enough to get a win. That's just my thoughts. I don't know, but they do have an explosive offense. There's no doubt about it. We're going to have some issues matching up with some of their personnel. So that's hey, Wes Goodwin's going to earn his paycheck that game. I can tell you that.
The kick that the second time we were down on the goal line, where we had the two tight ends and then the third tight end was sprinted out. Did y'all have an issue with that play call? Because I did. I don't think it was a very good play call.
I'm trying to think of what
the second time we were down there.
I'm trying to envision.
It was the second one, PJ, before Porter kicked.
Yeah.
Porter kicked field goal, We had two ideas on the side. We had Brandon Stewart on the other end, and going for a run. Allen was sent out.
You're breaking up, DeAndre.
And that was on the other side.
You're breaking up really bad, DeAndre. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. The guy, it was a play before he threw it in the end zone when Williams looked like he might have went the wrong way. Williams went on to the inside, but the play before that in the end zone, when we scored the 10 points, it was 7. We was up 7-0. Then the field goal was called a 3. We had 2 tight ends, and Allen was spread out to one end, and Nagata was on the other side, and we went for a run. Did y'all like that play call? I didn't think it was very good, if you remember what I was talking about.
I think I know what you're referring to.
You're talking about the running play right before we threw it on 3rd down, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a major issue with that play call. I thought we should have threw the ball there. Because it seemed like there was 0 coverage, Louisville. So I thought they could throw the ball and get a touchdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I saw. I don't know if y'all seen that too.
Yeah, I mean they had what? At least they had plenty of dudes in the box. They were looking for that run.
There were a lot of questionable, just a lot of questionable play calls in this game, but
and I'm assuming that 3rd down play that followed that, like, that had to be a miscommunication because DJ threw it in the back.
Yeah, Williams went on the inside, and
Williams looked like he was running like almost a slant. So I don't know what happened with that. Whatever, man. Clemson play calling. Yeah,
I mean, we could dedicate a whole just a whole hour to Clemson, just situationally, just have the play call and stuff like that. But hey, it is what it is. And I do want to also, give a shout out to that Phil Maffa run at the end of the game where the offensive line pushed, it was like it's going to be like a 3-yard gain, and the offensive line pushed him for like 14 yards.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. Like, Phil Maffa, he got like, it was like a 3-yard gain or like a 5-yard gain, and then he went on to get, past the 1st down marker, got like,
we lost DeAndre.
12 to 15 yards or something like that. That was crazy, man. Like that was. Wow, that's how Maffa's different, bro. He's built different. That dude is built different. He is a guy for sure.
And and while DJ has gotten some, has gotten his fair share of criticism, I thought, I do want to give a shout out to those 2 plays he had on the sideline from the opposite hash. Where the one to Brenningstool down the left sideline, that was where, like, as he was getting drilled.
That was a great throw.
That was a great throw. And then the one to Antonio Williams where he lofted it over I think EJ Williams was kind of blocking on that screen, and it was it was kind of more like a wheel sort of thing.
Yeah, it was kind of a wheel.
EJ Williams kind of in a blocking, but it was a good play, and it was a great throw. That's a tough throw for most quarterbacks to make from the opposite hash. The arm strength is definitely there.
You could, like, that's the kind of stuff I was talking about, like, earlier on in the show. Like, you see flashes of DJ and you're like, man, if you could be a little more consistent with that type of stuff, like, I mean, there's no doubt the dude's arm talent. And what another thing I'll say about DJ, let's give him a little credit in the running game. Like, he runs tough, man. Like, that dude, he will put his body on the line to go get a 1st down.
Yeah.
He does it several times a game. He does not go down the first time he gets hit. Like most quarterbacks, they'll kind of get hit and, they just go down, right? Yeah. He's not that guy. He will stick his head in there. And sometimes I cringe. In fact, like most every time he does that in the middle, when he's getting hit by these massive dudes, I cringe. But, he is a big dude himself. But he's our quarterback, so you don't like to see your quarterback kind of lower his head and go get a first down, but at the same time, you do like it, if that makes sense. It shows his willingness to really put his body and everything out there for the team. But we obviously need him because the coaching staff, for whatever reason, clearly doesn't trust Cade to run the offense, because every time they bring him in there, he doesn't run the offense. Or they put him in there in really crappy situations, and then he's out the next series, which kind of happened tonight. Like, he was out the next series tonight. It's really weird. I don't know why he comes in for one series a game. It's becoming weird. Just don't bring him in if he's only going to come in for one series. But I think DJ played pretty well tonight. Outside of that big fumble, I think it was a solid game.
Yeah.
The one thing you can never say about DJ, as much criticism as he's gotten and that he probably deserves, we talked about the things that he does well, and one of the other things that I think he deserves credit for is he never gives up, man. He's not a quitter. When things look at their worst, like, he does not quit. He'll run back out there, and I do think he's given it his all. So, he's the quarterback for this season at least. We'll see what happens going into the offseason, whether he decides to go pro or what decisions are made in the offseason. Who knows what that'll look like. But Clemson's still got a lot to play for this season, and DJ's going to be the guy. So we got to hope we see the DJ that we saw tonight and not the DJ that we saw against Syracuse, right? So that's we got to hope for as Clemson fans. He's going to be the guy. We still have, a couple games to play. We got Miami next week?
Yep. And South
Miami
Carolina
next week, and then South Carolina, and then we'll probably see North Carolina in the ACC championship game. So, we got some big games coming up. South Carolina, I don't think they're a great team by any means, but they're certainly not going to lay down for Clemson. I mean, you think they're not going to be jacked up about an opportunity to take Clemson's home winning streak away from them, and in the streak that they have against South Carolina? They'll be jacked up to do it. They got nothing else to play. They got nothing else to play for.
I don't know if you watched them play today, but
I'm just saying. I'm not saying they're good or they have a chance, because, I mean, let's be honest, they don't. But Clemson better be ready. Look, if we play like we played against Syracuse, they do have a chance. Okay? So let's not play like that anymore. Special teams tonight. Hey, what's up with that Louisville punter, man? What's that dude could kick it like 70 yards or something, bro? Like, what?
Yeah,
Jesus.
every punter turns into like a punt god when they play us. It seems.
Why every punter that we play can literally kick the ball 60 and 70 yards and we can't? Like, what is going on with that?
Well, to be fair, Aiden Swanson had a good game. I thought he punted pretty well.
Look, he's been a lot better. I've been rough on Aiden Swanson this year because it is what it is. It's the punting game. So it's an easy target to pick on. But yeah, man, it seems like every punter that plays against us is just like an NFL leg out there. I don't know what happens. Like, but Antonio Williams had that good return on that punt that went. It seemed like that punt went forever, but he did have a good return on it. But yeah, that kind of wraps up most of the game, man. I think we played overall pretty well. You got any last minute thoughts on the game before we get to the comment section and talk with them for a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think we covered mostly everything. Yeah, just once again, happy to be in the win column. I was very skeptical about this game going in. I picked us to win by I picked us to win by 3 points.
Yeah.
You know, in the pregame show, and you know, this morning when the injury news came out, I was expecting us to lose. To be honest,
Yeah.
So
When Trenton Simpson, he was out, and then we had
Walker Parks being
Walker
out.
Parks being out.
I was like, oh man, I was
like,
like,
oh, boy.
I was, you know, missing offensive line starters against a front as aggressive as Louisville is.
That's never good.
Yeah, that scared me.
That's
obviously
never good.
Bo Collins also being out. This DJ's guy, even though I thought we were missing guys at some less than ideal positions, but Mitchell Mays came in there, and you know he typically is, you know, he's listed as a tackle, but they slid him in at right guard, and I thought he played pretty well, all things considered. So
you didn't hear his name called, which
right.
usually means you played well as an offensive lineman, right? If the fans and the announcers don't talk about you, that's probably a good thing as an offensive lineman.
Right.
That's kind of par for the course. But yeah, you had a you had a 30-27 score prediction against Louisville. I was wrong. I picked us to win by 3 I picked us to win by 4. I picked us 21-17. So I was clearly wrong.
I gave the offense more credit. You know,
you gave the offense more credit than I did.
I wasn't
sure. I wasn't sure how the offense. Yeah, you were 1 point off. You were pretty close, but you thought the defense would do slightly worse.
Yeah, and some of the things I thought we would see did happen. Like we did not, obviously, the stretch run play that that they do a lot. I thought, you know, when they did it, they got, you know, a bunch of, you know, chunk yardage. But hey,
I think so. That last touchdown for Louisville actually helped DeAndre edge out Smitty in the score prediction category. DeAndre had a 30-17 score prediction.
Ooh,
almost right on the head.
Yeah, that's pretty much on. That's
and
on
then
the money.
Smitty had a 35-10 score prediction. So, yeah, he would have been pretty close. But DeAndre almost nails it. He's wrong in one point on each side of the score. But 30-17 was his score prediction. So, shout out DeAndre. I know we lost him in the stream, but shout out DeAndre. Thanks for stopping in. You were obviously the closest on the score prediction this week. So, hey, I don't know what you win, but I guess bragging rights.
You know, we're not giving them anything.
I'm not buying you anything. But
right,
me
neither.
Good job. Let's get some shout out to the comments over here. Big Mix in the house. Our usual Edward, another one of our usuals. Bryce, John Sarian, another usual. WB2DX, see him in here a lot as well. Hunter Goatfro, see him in here a lot. Hey, a lot of guys we already see in here. Austin Williams gets in. He's Louisville a Cardinals fan.
Shout out to Austin.
Hey, Louisville fan. Guy. Hey, you're thanks for showing back up. He said I had 45-17. Clemson? Really? Okay.
Wow.
I did not know that was your score prediction.
Yeah, I didn't even. He didn't even tell me that before.
You gave our offense way more credit than I would have ever given him.
Right, and he. I mean, I know him. You know, I know him from over on in the Mark Rogers Discord, and he did. I don't think he gave me. I might be wrong, but I don't think he gave me his. I knew he told me he was worried because Clemson was coming off of a loss, and he was like, I don't want to play angry Clemson. He's like, I almost wish Clemson would have won against Notre Dame last week because we'd catch him sleeping. But
I understand.
I didn't think he had that little faith.
Especially this defense and how they kind of got killed in the media and by fans, and all the talk was, Notre Dame manhandled Clemson. Like, I could understand his thought process going into the Clemson game. Like, man, like not only just playing Clemson, but I don't want to play that defense. With all that bulletin board material and all those NFL guys. I mean, because is inconsistent as the Clemson defense has been this year, they still do have a ton of NFL dudes playing on that defense, and the last thing you want to do is play all those dudes mad. You saw what happened tonight. I think it was part of it. They did give up some big plays, but they were after the quarterback all night. They were in the backfield. They were getting tackles for losses. They were being disruptive all night. So let's see. We got any good comments in here, Jordan, that we can highlight?
Well, there was some back and forth. I was looking in on the chat. There was a lot of back and forth about DJ.
Yeah, I saw a lot of that. What's everybody saying about DJ? What do they think about DJ?
There's some that are completely out on
bench DJ. He's out.
and then some that are defending him. I'm somewhere in between. I'm not. I'm in the because there's just a lot of things that aren't optimal right now in this Clemson offense. Beyond just the quarterback, and I have my beef with Brandon Streeter with some of the things he's done this season, just play calling wise. But I have beef with some of the position coaches. There's a lot that we wish was a lot better and was better in the past that seemed to have declined in recent years.
And I think this is the thing with DJ is he hasn't had the most optimal, as you say, situation around him, whether that be receivers who are underperforming because they are, coaching staff that's underperforming because they are. Offensive line last year was absolutely terrible. There's been a lot. Yes, DJ has underperformed as well. But the one thing that I will say for DJ is he owns it every single time. And I do think that he went this offseason and tried to get better. I don't think he's definitely not the caliber of quarterback that Clemson's used to. That's very evident. Everyone can see that. But at the same time, he's our guy for this season, and that's not going to change. So, all the fantasies of, Cade kind of coming in and taking the reins, that's not happening this season. Maybe next season, we'll see what DJ does, whether he, decides to enter his name into the draft, because I do think DJ would be drafted if he goes into the NFL draft. Obviously, he's not, I'm not saying he's a first-round pick at all. Okay, let's not get it twisted. But I do think if DJ went into the draft, he's going to be drafted.
Someone would take a chance on it.
Somebody's going to take a chance on DJ because not his size, his arm strength. Some NFL GM will take a chance on DJ and say, "Hey, we can get this dude right. This dude has the talent to be an NFL quarterback," because he does. Yeah. I think if he chose to enter the NFL draft, he'll definitely be drafted. It won't be high, but he'll get drafted. Or if he chooses to stay at Clemson, we'll see what happens with that in the offseason. I don't see him transferring anywhere. I think he'll either go to the draft or he'll stay at Clemson. What do you think he'll do after this season?
Yeah, I don't. It's hard to say. DJ doesn't seem like the guy. It seemed like he would necessarily transfer. I don't know. Obviously, I don't know him personally, and I don't know what's going on in his head. But I don't know. I do think part of me thinks this is his last year, just because there's just a lot. There's just a lot at play. I kind of lean toward him, taking a chance at the NFL. I think so. But like you said, I do think someone will pick him in the late round, or if not, I think he'll definitely get an undrafted free agent deal, and someone's going to take a chance on him because of the arm talent.
And here's the thing: if he stays in college,
they don't want to risk draft capital.
Is he really going to change anyone's mind next season? if he stays
I
in
mean,
college.
we don't necessarily have much help coming on the way as far as unless Dabo decides to dip into the transfer portal and kind of get some dudes in the wide receiver room. I don't think that next season is going to necessarily
right. That's a big if.
That's a huge if.
Yeah. If anything, we're losing some dudes. On the out of the receiver room. So
right. So. I mean, unless Dabo does something that would just unthinkable like that, I mean, I don't think much help is. I mean, the guys Clemson has in their current recruiting. I mean, Noble Johnson. I mean, I like the receivers the two receivers that Clemson has in the class. Noble Johnson, I really like. I mean, I think he's a good player. I don't expect him to come in and make a huge impact right away. And Ronan Hannafin is the same way. I mean, they're fine, but there's not really any elite talent coming in at wide receiver that makes me think that, man, this guy's going to be a difference maker when he comes into Clemson, because that just hasn't been the case for Clemson's wide receiver recruiting over the last few years. So, if he were to choose to come back, I don't see much, changing. I don't, how much better does he get? I don't know. So,
Bryce says, name one NFL team DJ could help. Look, I'm not saying.
Right. That's not the only. That's not the only reason the NFL teams draft. Like there are teams take flyers on guys that think that, hey, there might be some there. If we hit on this guy, this could be a low risk, high reward type thing, and especially that's what people use those late round picks for.
Yeah, especially if he's drafted super late in the NFL draft or he's on a free agent contract, they could just dump him at any time they want.
Right. I don't think anyone's drafting him to become their starting quarterback right away. We mean just like he's a project type guy, and it's like we can just have him on the back burner if he turns out to be something. Okay, that's great.
We'll hook him up with the quarterback coach. We'll kind of see how he develops. Maybe he'll make some GM out there is like, maybe DJ will make me a genius. Look, Tom Brady. Look, I'm not saying he's Tom Brady by no means. I don't think he ever will be. But there's NFL GMs out there. They're always looking for that diamond in the rough, that one dude that they drafted super late or picked up on an undrafted free agent contract that developed into a dude. There's always teams out there looking for it. And with DJ's size and arm strength, he'll get a shot. He'll definitely get a shot. Dabo has repeatedly said things about DJ graduating early and without saying it suggests he's not around after this year. Yeah, I hear you.
It does seem like the plan is for him to. And when DJ was, he's like, I'm not really like that, but it's like, I think he's gone.
It's always been the plan. I think that was the plan when DJ was, recruited. Just like, when we recruited Deshaun Watson, we expected him to be here for 3 years. When we recruited Trevor Lawrence, we expected him to be here for 3 years, right? I think the same thing went into DJ's recruitment. And I think that's kind of how they structure their recruitment of quarterbacks is, I expect this dude to be here for this long. So we'll see what happens with it. Oh, sorry.
I got it. Sorry. Let me put come on. One of the worst D1 quarterbacks? What?
No, sir. No, he's not.
All right. The hyperbole, that's got to be hyperbole. That's not true. He's not one of the worst D1 quarterbacks. Nothing stats anything that backs that up.
Yeah,
he is definitely not. He's a definitive step down from a lot of the elite quarterbacks in college football right now. But he is not one of the worst D1 quarterbacks. His production doesn't indicate that. His talent doesn't indicate that. That's not true. Okay? We're just that's ridiculous. We don't. He's no C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young, but he's. I mean, he's a fine Power 5 starting quarterback. He's fine.
Yeah,
but he's not one of the worst. He's not one of the worst.
Come on. Let's pretend like if he transferred from Clemson today, like don't pretend like there'd be no teams out there looking to take him on their team, because there would be a lot of teams. Not saying he's, this game-changing, Heisman winning, first, second, third round pick type of quarterback. We're not saying that at all. But he is a serviceable quarterback. And what people don't realize is the NFL looks more at measurables. Yes, do they look at what you did in the college game? Absolutely. Of course they do. But they will look at measurables and be like, I mean, we might be able to develop this dude. DJ's a massive QB. He's huge. He's a big guy, and he's got a cannon of an arm. It might not be the most accurate all the time, but he could throw the ball a mile. NFL teams like that. That's all we're saying. We're not saying that he's the next Joe Burrow or Patrick Mahomes or whoever else you want to name in the NFL right now. Nobody's saying he's one of those guys. But I think anybody who thinks that DJ wouldn't get a shot in the NFL, I believe he would. I believe he'd get a shot. He's got Hunter Goatfro says 20 touchdowns and 5 INTs on the year.
Right. That's definitely not one of the worst. That's far from a terrible touchdown.
Go look at a lot of Power 5.
Go look at Spencer
numbers.
Rattler. Go look at our neighbors in the state. Go look at Spencer Rattler's stat line on the season.
There's a lot of quarterbacks.
Compared to DJ's, and tell me who you'd rather have. Both former 5-star quarterbacks, by the way. Come on.
Not every quarterback drafted in the NFL is,
I
Bryce Young or CJ Stroud.
Right. Like I don't think people realize that, that the NFL draft is not just about what you do in college. I mean, the NFL draft is on measurables. It's on talent. It's on physical tools. It goes. Why else do you think that Will Levis is considered a first-round pick? He has not played well this year. But why do you think Will Levis is considered a first-round pick? Because he has a cannon for an arm, and he has a lot of physical talent. And I don't even personally agree with, but that's how the NFL. That's how the NFL operates. It's not always just about what you did in college. That matters, but it's also about what assets you have. Just from a physical standpoint. And DJ has a lot of physical talent that I think NFL teams will like. That's all that's all we're saying. And no one's saying that he's going to get drafted in the first round, but we're saying that he has. If somebody wants to spend a late round pick on him. There's or even just give him an undrafted free agent, deal. I think he'll definitely get a shot. So, hey, DJ
is slow. He can't read defenses fast enough. He had a hard time completing passes behind the line of scrimmage. If we're talking about last week, yes, he had a hard time completing passes behind the line of scrimmage. But here's the thing, guys. No one's sitting here saying that DJ is this great quarterback. What we are saying is that the NFL doesn't just look at what you do in college. They look at measurables. And they're going to look at DJ, and there's going to be some GM that falls in love with DJ, okay? His body type, his arm strength, they're going to. Some NFL team's going to take a flyer on him. They just are because of his size and his ability to throw the ball. That's just it.
Why? I don't know why. Some of people in the chat find that so hard to believe. It's like, have you not paid attention to the NFL draft over the last, like forever?
If you looked at
teams take
DJ,
flyers on guys all the time.
Yeah, if you looked at DJ, he looks like an NFL QB.
Yeah,
he's big, he's strong, and he's got a big arm. They're gonna take a flyer on him. They are. That's just,
and it's not just quarterback. They do this at every position.
Every position.
It's not just about how you produce in college. It's about your physical attributes. And DJ absolutely has an NFL body and body type and arm strength and all of that. The NFL is confident in their coaching ability, and they're like, well, he doesn't do these things well, but we think we can get we think we can get that straightened out with time. That's literally all. That's how the thought process is. And we're not saying that we agree with it, and we don't. I'm not even saying I think DJ will be successful in the NFL necessarily. But
Yeah.
I think that's I think teams at least one. I mean, there's 32 NFL teams. You don't think one of them can think? Well, I mean, he was a former 5-star out of high school. I mean, his tape is you see the arm talent. It's like, why we could have if we coach some of his issues out of him, we could have something nice. Whether that's true or not, it doesn't matter. We're just saying. I think there's definitely one or two teams out there that would take a chance on him. So,
yeah. I mean, it is what it is. We'll agree to disagree, guys. I get it. Look, we feel one way. You guys feel another way. It's all love. We'll see. We'll see what happens this offseason. So if DJ's back in a Clemson uniform next year, or if he decides to go pro, or if he decides to transfer to another school. Who knows? Who knows what the future holds? But I think he would perform well in an NFL workout against air.
Well, yeah.
Well, against air.
Yeah,
because that's what NFL workers are. They're against air.
Right.
And he'd probably be impressed.
I guess that's enough. We're not going to change anybody's minds.
Yeah, it's fine. Look, I'm not saying he's going to ever be an NFL starter. I mean, he'd have to improve.
I hope he does.
I hope he does too. Like, I hope he goes on and has a great career. If you're asking me to put any money on it, heck no, man. But I think he'll get somewhat of a shot to prove himself at the next level, whether that be in just camp or he ends up on a practice squad or buried 2 or 3 deep in a depth chart. I think he'll get somewhat of a chance, as much as you can as a late round pick or a undrafted free agent. I think he'll get something, but yet to be seen. Jordan Bowman, DJ's not from Hawaii. Yeah.
I was responding to Stone Cold Cowboy because that was kind of, I don't. There was a lot wrong with that comment, but I don't want to get into it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we'll leave that there. Not going to highlight that. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Moving on. So I'll bring something up else that we can talk about since we're trying to be controversial here on the Clemson Postgame Live. We've kind of diverted completely from the game at this point, which is fine. We're just kind of interacting and talking with you guys at this point. I think we said our piece about the game. Jordan, let me ask you another controversial question. People may be mad with us about what we're going to talk about, but or maybe they won't. They'll completely agree with us. Who knows?
Boy, here we go. I'm bracing myself.
Let's talk about the Clemson coaching staff. Okay, let's talk about all the talk in the national media this past week. We already know from last year, Clemson's reign's over. We're never going to win anything of importance ever again. We already know that, right? That's already been stated time and time again. We are relegated back to the hole that is the ACC, and that is that. Okay, but Clemson did lose 2 coordinators, as we know, this past offseason. Okay, we lost Tony Elliott. Some of us were not exactly upset about that. And then we lost Brent Venables, and some of us were a little bit more upset about that, depending on how you viewed things as a Clemson fan. Okay, so what did Dabo do? He hired from within. He brought dudes in. He promoted from within guys that were in other positions. So we know Brandon Streeter's the new offensive coordinator. We got Kyle Richardson that is the passing game coordinator. Also is the tight ends coach. And then you have Wes Goodwin as the defensive coordinator. What are your thoughts going into and we'll probably readdress this in the offseason, but as of right now, do you think any changes need to be made, whether it be from a coaching standpoint, a philosophy standpoint? What do you see? Because a lot of people talk about, we've talked about it on this show. Clemson's offense needs to be revamped. Maybe these coaching decisions weren't exactly the best move for Clemson. What are your thoughts? Because there's been a lot of talk about it, and I'm just curious. Let's talk about it with. We'll discuss it, and then we'll kind of see what the audience is saying too.
Yeah, well, I'm on record as saying that I'm over this scheme, this offensive approach in general. So I do think at the very minimum that needs to change, which I don't have faith that that's going to change. I fully expect both coordinators to be in their same roles next year. I think Goodwin is going to be DC. I think Streeter is going to be offensive coordinator. Yep. Whether or not there are some shakeups and responsibilities and stuff like that throughout that, that coaching staff, I could see that, but I don't think either either side of the ball is going to see, guys leave or, guys, lose their jobs or anything like that. So I think at the very least, maybe bringing some extra guys, some new people in. That's not all. I don't think that's off the table, but I don't think anybody's leaving. Maybe hiring guys in analyst roles, hint, hint. getting some more voices. Getting more voices on both sides of the ball would, I don't think that could hurt. Just outside people without, not necessarily everybody has to have connections with Clemson. Maybe
it's okay to hire people,
guys from other programs.
It's okay to hire outside people.
Right. So
be okay. It's still Clemson.
I do think that needs to change, and there needs to be something done with the scheme, because just the offensive approach just really hasn't evolved very much. And I mean that's really all I can say, because I don't have much faith that Cade is going to come in when he's whenever it's his time to be the starter, and all the issues are going to be fixed.
Is the offense really going to look that much different under Cade?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe some things, like maybe the QB run game will be more effective, and just having a guy that can get to the outside definitely helps. But just other thing, other stuff, wide receiver play and like that, and pass protection. Like, is that ever going to?
Yes, Dabo. Yes, Dabo has fired people before. Yes.
I mean, did he not fire? I mean, he fired Billy Napier. He fired Rob. There's some conflicting reports about Kevin Steele.
He got fired.
Some say it was a mutual parting of ways, but it was clear there was going to be.
That's usually a nice way of saying, hey, you're no longer going to do this job, so
right.
You can
find
stay here in a different role, or
find
leave.
Another job.
Yeah.
And he also fired when he was. I don't know. I don't necessarily know who did the firing, but from what I've been told and from what people have said, that he fired Rob Spence when he first took over. Rob Spence was the longtime Clemson offensive coordinator under Tommy Bowden, but when Dabo became the interim and Tommy Bowden was let go, Rob Spence was also let go, and that could have been the athletic director, but I've had people tell me
the athletic director gave him full control over hiring and firing when he made him the interim. So that was a Dabo decision. I've heard him talk about it in the past, of where he went a different way. He doesn't say fired. We went a different direction on the offensive side. Yeah. So a little bit nicer than a firing, I guess.
Yeah.
So let's talk. We talked about the offense, right? I too agree with you. I think we're both on record saying that we are kind of done with this Clemson offensive scheme. I think it needs to be revamped at a minimum. some new concepts need to be injected into it, and we kind of need to find a new way and a fresher approach on the offensive side with some more creativity. And I think that we need to become better at adjusting to personnel that we have. One of the things that we always admired, I think, about Brent Venables was his ability on any given year to take the personnel that he had and put the best product available on the field. It didn't always work out in every single game. He definitely had his games where he got dealt with by whatever offense he was playing, but he did have the ability to really adjust his scheme based off of personnel. And I don't think that's something that the Clemson's offense has ever really done. I think we got the Clemson offense, it's the Clemson scheme, and then we kind of mash these players into it, and it hasn't really worked out in the past couple of years because of personnel. We do have different personnel than we've had in the past, so I think that's something that the Clemson offense the offensive staff maybe needs to look at. A lot of people in the chat here talking about Jeff Scott and how he never called plays at Clemson and things like that. I don't know if he never called plays at Clemson. I don't know how many plays or if he was responsible for any play calling when it came to Clemson. But I can tell you that the offense looked different when Jeff Scott was here than when he left.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say.
And he certainly had a say in the game plan. And I mean, Tony Elliott was the primary play caller, in the,
of course.
up in the,
he was up in the booth. Yeah.
But I definitely, Jeff Scott had a headset. He had a say. I think, he definitely had a say, and just having two guys, two voices in the room, bounce ideas off of each other, definitely helped. So, I mean, we obviously we don't know the ins and outs of how their whole process was.
I have no idea
how plays got in and all that, and who, was, how many plays Jeff Scott called or anything. We obviously don't know that, but they clearly worked together to build the game plan. And
I agree with dropping the bubble screens.
Right.
Get rid of the bubble screen. Jesus Christ. You know what in Madden where you can like only run a play so many times in a game before it gets locked out of the game. That's what Clemson needs. You're only allowed so many bubble screens a game, and no matter how bad you want to run it again, that's off limits for the offensive coordinator. That's what needs to happen. Lock the play out. You only get like 3 bubble screens a game, and then figure it out from there. But oh well. I don't think there'll be any staff changes at all, to be completely honest. But I hope they really take a look at what's going on, and the fact that we have not trended in the right direction on offense for 2 years now, and maybe we need to reevaluate some things. I hope they take a coaching trip together to somewhere else where they're producing more points than we are. Go look at what somebody else is doing. Get some ideas. People.
Brent Venables did that on defense.
Once upon a time, people used to come to Clemson
Yeah.
For coaching trips to see what we were doing. I don't think they've been doing that in the past 2 years. So maybe it's time for us to go on a coaching trip and kind of see what's going on.
Yeah, I remember when Brent Venables went to, Brent Venables did that. He would go Brent Venables, was scheming up some of the best defenses in college football, and yet he still, went and got new ideas. I remember when he went to Iowa State after we won the national championship.
Yep.
And
fresh off a natty.
Yeah, and picked up Iowa State's, 3 safety, that 3. It's not really a 3-3-5. It's more like a 3-5-3. The corners are more inside, and there's 3 safety. It's a unique scheme. Iowa State's been running it for a long time, but he went up there and picked that up, and Clemson did a lot of that in 2019 because of the lack of depth on the defensive line because everybody was gone.
Again, adjusting to personnel.
Right.
Like you need coaches with that ability that was like, you know what? Like you never want the coach that's just like, hey, this is my scheme, this is what I run, and we're doing this regardless, right? Brent
Yeah.
Venables was never like that. He was always, who do I have? All right. How do I make this defense the best I possibly can with the pieces that I have to work with? I'm not sure Clemson's offense has ever approached running it that way, which I don't know why. They work in the same building.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think, and maybe it's just from a fan's perspective, and they're like, yeah, we definitely have, okay. I can't tell. Again, I can't tell. But yeah.
We kind of want to. We have a recruiting question.
Okay.
It's a good word, if any, about Tyler Brown. I know we offered him.
Yeah.
That's all I know. In-state wide receiver. Really, guy is fast. Can't remember what high school he's from. I'm pulling it up now. Hold on. I saw his high school tape. Yeah. He's from Greenville. Does he go to Green? Okay, he does go to Greenville High.
Okay.
Yeah, he looks really good. Yeah, definitely a guy. He's another kind of speedy, slot guy. Clemson definitely could use that. So, I think he could end up being a really nice player. He doesn't. His offer list is not anything insane, which I think means Clemson has a good chance here. But I don't know. I don't know all the details. And hell, I'm in the upstate, but I don't know. But definitely definitely a guy of his, his profile is definitely Clemson could use a lot more of. So it's good to see. Glad we offered him. Because letting fast guys, talented receivers leave the state these past couple of years has cost us a little bit, and definitely cost us last year, and could have cost us this year if we had waited any longer on Antonio Williams. I don't know
We're
why
lucky. We were lucky to get Antonio Williams.
Yeah, I don't know why we slow played it as much as we did, but I remember a quacking tiger over on Twitter, but I think he's with is he with Shaking the Southland? I don't remember what site he writes for, but I like his takes a lot. He was on the Antonio Williams train, long before Clemson even officially offered him, and they were like he was screaming. It was like he's a take. I don't care. I don't care who we're after. If you have to oversign for him, take him. So definitely Clemson needs to, definitely, start looking more in-state for some of these guys, because you see guys like Jalen Hyatt at Tennessee that didn't get an offer from Clemson or South Carolina, and he's tearing it up right now. So definitely want to get some guys that, kind of, look more in-state and home for some of these guys, because you also want to keep up the relationships with a lot of these high schools, because, when you get, these some of these high school coaches, they get a little miffed when their kid
they
is
get real
getting
salty.
recruited.
Yeah, they get real salty real fast.
Yeah. So Clemson, as they've been more of a national power, and they've recruited more nationally, it's they've kind of gotten away from some of the in-state recruiting. But I thought they did a good job of getting Antonio Williams and Adam Randall last cycle. But continuing to get those guys will be the talented in-state guys, I think will do wonders. Because and I honestly think that a lot of the in-state guys, you just have a higher hit rate. It seems like you're just the guys that Clemson gets in state seem to pan out more often than not. So
that's true. That is true. Part of that, it's they probably grew up Clemson fans. Always wanted to play for that school. So just
yeah, especially like a guy like Tyler Brown. I mean, he goes to Greenville High School. I mean, he's growing up around all pretty much Clemson people. So,
all Clemson stuff, man. Probably,
cool.
Probably a dream, to don that uniform. Let's see what Edwards talking about. Dabo said in an interview that they had offers to other players and had to wait for them to figure out what they were going to do. Grisham told him, stayed in
Is he
contact.
talking about? Are
Yeah.
you talking about Tyler Brown
He's-
or Antonio Williams?
No, he's talking about Antonio Williams. Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, that's how Clemson's always done it. It's there's a pecking. When you get an offer, and they wait to offer if they've got offers to other guys. They wait to offer you until they know what. But that's the thing that Quacking Tiger was screaming about, was like, I don't care who
oversign him. Yeah.
Yeah. If you, take those guys and take him too, no matter, so that's that's kind of what we're saying is, Antonio Williams was special. He was special. And I got to give credit to South Carolina, because the entire time they knew, and obviously Clemson had a relationship with him, and there was a lot of communication there. That's why he committed pretty much as soon as Clemson actually, gave him the green light. But they're just, not, just taking these guys, and not, thinking so much, because especially since we haven't really, landed a big out of state guy, like one of the elite, like 5-star wide receiver, out of state guys that we used to get.
It's been a while.
Yeah. So what not since, the last 5-star guy, like composite, like consensus 5-star wide receiver we had was
that Ross out of
Higgins?
Alabama.
I don't think Ross was a consensus 5-star. I think he was a 5-star on some sites, but I don't know if he was consensus.
Yeah.
Higgins was.
I know it was a big deal when we hit Ross, just because
the year before,
probably because of where we took him from.
Yeah, but Ross was basically. He was borderline 5-star.
Yeah.
I'll have to check his recruiting profile.
Yeah. But yeah, you might be right. T. Higgins, yeah, maybe. The coach for the Green kid, who is in state.
Yeah, Jarvis Green.
Yeah.
Dutch Fork.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw that video on Twitter. There was. Yeah.
I don't know what he's referring to. So.
There was Jarvis Green, running back at Dutch Fork. Then he's who is he committed to currently? Someone in the chat remind me of who he's committed to. But guy has turned it up. One of the best running backs in the state. Doesn't have an offer. Well, doesn't have a scholarship offer from Clemson or South Carolina. So his high school coach over at Dutch Fork, who we just got, James Madison. John Sarin got it. He's committed to James Madison, but the head coach over at Dutch Fork, who the high school of Antonio Williams, he's been making. He was after a game during an interview, he was just talking about how it was the best running back in the state is right here, and I don't know why Dabo and Beamer aren't knocking their doors down to
I like
try
it.
to get him.
I like it. Hey, good for
he's
that.
going to bat for his kid, and
good for that high school coach. I like it.
I'm like, hey,
do you, man? I ain't got no problems with that at all.
So, but I do. I mean, if Clemson has, if they could get him, I would be really, especially since the running back recruiting this cycle has been less than desirable. So, hey, I think he looks really good. I don't know why he's not getting more love from the recruiting sites, but
I don't know. But if we can get him, let's get him. I mean, hey, look, I don't know that our running back room stays intact through the offseason.
Really?
So I don't know about Pace. I think Pace may.
Well, yeah, Pace is kind of, but man, it's an injury thing though.
I know it is, but like I could see him, because it's kind of turned into a Shipley and Maffa two-headed monster. I could see where he would move on, and I really wouldn't blame him.
I would hate
and
that.
it's not his fault. I would hate it too, and it's not his fault that he hasn't been on the field this season. It's just that injury that he got, and he had the surgery, the tightrope surgery for the high ankle sprain.
Yeah.
He's just I don't know how his rehab's going or anything like that, but I could see him leaving.
Yeah.
Because he is older than both Shipley and Maffa, so
yeah.
I could see him leaving. I don't want him to. I would hate for him to leave, but I could see it happening this offseason. It wouldn't surprise me if that came out.
Yeah.
So,
I would
So
hate it for him because I think
we may need to think about that.
Yeah.
When you're considering those things, like I could definitely see Pace moving on, so we could recruit a guy like Green and replace him.
Yeah. Well, I'd hate it because I like it. I mean, I like Kobe Pace a lot.
Yeah,
I was really high on him when
he was one of the reasons that we won so many games last year. I mean,
Yeah.
the dude was a beast.
Yeah, I mean, he was. I was really high on him when we signed him. His name was Kobe prior then. Changed it. His last name changed to Pace. Yeah, he was a 3-star kid out of Georgia, but like just his tape, the way he ran, I thought he was a really nice pickup for Clemson in that signing class. What was it, 2019, I think. And I had high hopes for him. He was starting to, last year he really, showed a lot of that, and just this year, just injuries and health have kind of held him back. But when you're right that this is kind of a prime situation where you could see him try to get a fresh start elsewhere. So
yeah, I wouldn't blame him. I mean, he's obviously going to want to get reps on the field, and as good as he is, it's still going to be tough with those 3 running backs. To get on the field, a lot. Hey, would you believe that this Texas TCU game is still scoreless?
is it? I have A&M and Auburn up.
It's still scoreless with 8:52
I should have Texas
left.
TCU up because it directly affects. I mean, if Texas wins, it
helps us.
That helps Clemson's chances for the playoffs.
It helps Clemson if Texas wins. So,
yeah.
John Smith says, "What do you guys think about the future of Will Taylor?"
I mean, the staff still, clearly, thinks a lot of him, but I don't think. I had high hopes for him too, but
I thought he was going to be, I don't know. I thought he was going to be more than he has.
It's just going to be a slow burn.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's just going to needs more time. I mean, he tore his ACL last year. He hasn't really had that full year of development.
Yeah. And he did get behind the ball because they started training him as in the quarterback position first.
Right.
Because of our issues last year at quarterback. Right. Our depth issues. So, yeah, I mean, maybe next year we'll see. He can take this off season and kind of develop and really hone his craft at the wide receiver position and hopefully help. I think he's capable, but
he's got a lot of time.
Yeah.
Well, that might not be true because it depends on what I think he does have
his baseball career.
Baseball future.
His baseball career will determine how much time he actually has.
Right.
But he can always.
He might not end up being anything if he decides to go the baseball route. But
he can always go pro in baseball and then pull a Kyler Murray and keep playing football.
Yeah. I know we at least because I think the rule is if you can either get drafted out of high school, but if you choose to go to college, you have to stay for 3 years. I think.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's 2 or I think it's 2 or 3 years. Someone in the chat probably knows the rule, but so I mean, but I definitely don't think it depends whether he has the 3 years to develop or the 5 if they because I guess he doesn't have the COVID year because he was class of 2021, but. Definitely could. He still has. I'm sure he medically redshirted last year.
I'm sure he was out all season. So
he at least has 4 years, including this year of eligibility. So whether or not it just depends on him. But he did play baseball last season. So just depends on what he decides to do.
Yeah, who knows? Maffa looked good tonight. Yes, Maffa looked amazing tonight. Look. That is a grown man.
He had 10 yards, 10 carries, 106 yards, I think, and a touchdown. 10 yards a carry.
Man, dude.
That is a grown man.
That dude is a load. I wouldn't want to tackle Phil Maffa. I can tell you that right now. No thanks. I want Jarvis Green from Dutchford.
Yeah, you're just talking about him. what do you say? A couple more comments. I kind of want to
Yeah,
watch the rest of the game, so
I want to watch it too. So maybe a couple more, and then we'll get out of here. Bama is down at running back, has been for 2 weeks or 2 years, and UGA back transfers out.
I disagree. I don't think Bama's down at running back. Well, I guess you could say having to bring in a transfer, but Bama's running backs are really good. I think they've had they've had really good running backs. I think their issue is the wide receiver play, which similar to Clemson has fallen off drastically. The past, after after Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle, and then John Mechie and Jamison Williams that they got from Ohio State. After those guys left in the past couple of years, their wide receiver room has been really underwhelming this year. They're not great. They're not terrible. I really like Ja'Cory Brooks, but the receiver room in general, the receiver play. I mean, they have some guys that have talent, but the receiver play has fallen off. Similar to Clemson. You look at a lot of the guys in our room. These were former blue chip prospects, but not all of them are playing up to their talent level. I think Alabama has kind of had the same issues, and I think Bill O'Brien is. I really question his play calling ability as well. Yeah. They have a play caller that has, like Clemson, has been very questionable.
It's fallen off,
season.
Yeah. So So they look. Alabama and Clemson look kind of similar in what they're going through right now. They have some talent that's not working out.
They have a much better quarterback though, which is why their offense still
looks way better than ours, right?
Yeah. They have a Heisman winning quarterback.
You switch the quarterbacks, and
maybe
results
things are different.
The results would be different, right?
Right.
But we look kind of the same when it comes to what you're talking about: underdeveloped talent, underperforming talent. A couple coaching issues. Maybe some scheme issues with those coordinators, but look, I'll keep believing in Dabo Swinney until he gives me a reason not to. I believe when he comes out and says, I know the issues, nobody's out here, I think he knows the issues. How he decides to go about that, that's yet to be seen. But I have trust that he'll go out there and make the right adjustments. I think he sees that we are clearly not what we're supposed to be. So, and he gets paid a whole lot of money to go fix it. So,
right,
he'll go fix it. John Smith, we need more passes to Allen and Brennistool. Yes.
Yeah, we can never get enough of those. I like those. I really enjoy it a lot.
In Dabo, we trust. I think we'll end it with that, man. In Dabo, we trust.
Oh, actually, I was the one that said we have to get off. I do want to address WPT. We didn't mention Woodaz. He came.
Woodaz, stepped into a Woodaz, man. Yeah. He looks good out there tonight, man. He was doing his thing.
I thought he played early.
Yeah, I can't believe we forgot to mention him. All the stuff
I think he could use a little bit more size.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like he definitely could use it off season, kind of in the training room and, kind of bulking up and getting a little bit more weight on him and stuff like that. But he looked good out there, man. He looked really good out there. He looked comfortable. Moment wasn't too big for him. He was ready to rock and roll, man. So look for good things to come for him in his career.
Yeah, he looked really good.
Look for good things to come. Is that it? You see anything else you want to hit, Jordan, before we get off of here?
I think we're good.
Yeah.
Maybe you got one.
Let's hit this. You can tell Dabo is not happy with the results of his decision so far. Not clear what he's doing about it, and will do about it moving forward. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't think he is. Look, that's what I was trying to say. I think he sees that what's being produced right now is not it.
Right.
It's subpar. And I believe he will correct that. How he corrects it, I don't know. But I mean, the guy's built a juggernaut of a college football program. I don't think he's looking to tear it down just because he likes one of his coordinators or somebody played for him. I don't think that at all. I think he's smart enough to realize that this is not exactly working, and I think he knows it's not all on the players too. So,
Right.
we'll see. We'll see where it goes going forward. But like I said before, until he gives me a reason not to trust him, I'll trust him. He built Clemson what it was. Like we have he can be questioned. Don't get me wrong. Like these Clemson fans out here that like anytime you criticize Dabo at all, it's like like you're criticizing our Lord and Savior Jesus. That's not
Right,
the case.
yeah.
Okay, he's not a perfect guy. He's not a perfect coach. He's
Right.
not above criticism. We can do that. We can question some of his moves, which is what we're doing right now. But that doesn't mean that we don't trust him enough to, fix what's going on with the program because he's proven that he can build it. He's proven that he can maintain it. So I think he will prove that he can fix what's currently going on. He'll identify the issues, and I think he'll turn the right knobs, make the right adjustments, whatever else you want to say to get the ship righted, get us headed back in the right direction. But yeah, man, that's all I got. I don't want to highlight anything else. I think we talked about the game enough. It was a good game, good win for Clemson, 9-1. We are headed to another good season for our Clemson Tigers. Miami's up next week. Watch out, Hurricanes. It's not going to be a good week for you guys.
Damn right.
We will get more into our preview video, which will come out this Thursday at 9 p.m. So look out for our preview video coming out Thursday at 9 p.m. Me, Jordan, and hopefully the rest of the crew will be joining us for that game. Jordan, tell them where they can find you on Twitter and anywhere else, and then we will hop up out of here, my man.
Yeah, well, I already put my my Twitter in the chat, so yeah,
okay,
feel free
awesome.
to give me a follow. I already saw a couple of people in there. Hit that follow button. Really
follow
appreciate
Jordan
it.
on Twitter. Underrated on Twitter. He will bring you all the Clemson stuff you need to know, man. He'll keep you up to date on all of it. So follow Jordan on Twitter. I got a YouTube channel that I haven't posted anything since preseason on because I've just been doing this stuff on Mark Rogers with the postgame and preview shows. So, but I am Tiger Paul Craven. He is Jordan Bowman. We thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you in the Miami preview video here on the Voice of College Football on Thursday at 9 p.m. Make sure you're there.
Later, guys.